Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gita Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for your ecstatic chanting and joining.
Hare Krishna, this is Vinod Maheshwari from Maryland.
Hare Krishna, Vinod Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining and you're opening the call and chanting.
Hare Krishna, everyone. This is Padmini Radha from Gita's book.
Hare Krishna, Padmini Radha Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Anybody else would like to announce their name?
Hare Krishna.
Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is Kavita from Delaware.
Hare Krishna, Kavita Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, this is Kunti from Silver Spring, Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kunti Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining, and Mataji joining first time. So let's welcome Kunti Mataji by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunja Rasadas from Germantown, Maryland. And we are very happy to welcome Kunti Mataji and Her Grace Narayani Mataji on our call. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Nikunja Ras Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Radha Seva from Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Hare Krishna, Radha Seva Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. So, anybody else would like to announce their name?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Pranita. Thank you so much for inviting us for this call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Pranita Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining, and let's welcome Pranita Mataji also. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
So, yeah. Anybody else who would like to announce their name?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. This is Praveen Govindadas from Charlotte. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Pravinda Bhagavan Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. So, today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Narayani Devidasi Mataji from Silver Spring, but Mataji is from Vrindavan, India. So Mataji is giving class first time, so we are so fortunate to have her today. So I will give a brief introduction of Mataji from her website. Narayani Devidasi is a disciple of His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, joined ISKCON in Boston in 1970. She has done many services for Srila Prabhupada, including deity worship in Kolkata Temple, traveling book distribution in Western India for the Bombay Temple, and teaching Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and Bhakti Vedanta course in VIHE in Vrindavan. She helped write the VTE curriculum for Bhakti Shastri and is a member of the Shastrik Advisory Committee and has written 21 books including Srimad Bhagavatam Art at a Glance, which has a picture of every verse of Bhagavatam as well as Bhagavad Gita at a Glance, which has a picture of each verse of the Gita. She continues to reside in Sri Vrindavan Dham, India, publishing, writing, and studying for her yearly publishing preaching tour. She visits temples in countries all over the world, including Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, and many temples across the US, including the Alachua community in Florida, New Dwarka in Los Angeles, California, the Potomac Temple in Washington, D.C., among others. She is also initiating Guru in ISKCON. So, today she is staying at Her Grace Kutki Mataji and Madhvacharya Prabhu's home at Silver Spring, and very kindly she agreed our request. And Padmini Radha Mataji, thank you so much for suggesting me to invite Mataji. So everyone, thank you so much. So Mataji, please take over the call now if you are ready. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I have two questions. One is, do you sing Jarana Madhava before the class?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. And second question is, how long does the class last until?
45 minutes.
Okay, so from now or?
Yeah, from now. Yeah, from now 45 minutes and question answer session.
So like around 8:15.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's what I need to know. Okay.
Hari Bol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjapi Hari.
Jai Radha Madhava
Kunja
Kunja
Bihari.
Bihari
Gopi Jana Balava Giribharatari.
Jaya Gopi
Nanda Vallabha Giridhari
Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Gajara Jara Jara
Jamuna Tira Banachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha
Radha
Madhava Kunja
Kunja
Bihari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Radha
Rama
Hare Radha
Rama
Hare Radha Hare
Rama
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhu
Prabhu
Jaya
Jai
Prabhupada
Prabhu Jai
Prabhupada Jaya
Jai
Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Jaya Nishtipat Paraman Sabhaya Jakachaya Stita Sara Shishama Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Jai.
So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namah
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namah
Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya
We're reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13, verse 43. Behavior of a perfect person. Vikapamju huyachita tam manasyata viprame manovaikari hutva tam mayayam jihot anu. Vikalpam, discrimination between good and bad, one person and another, one nation and another, and all similar discrimination. Juhuya, one should offer as oblations. Chitao, in the fire, consciousness. Tam, that consciousness. Manasi, in the mind. Artaviprame, the root of all acceptance and rejection. Mana, that mind. Ikarike, and false ego, identification of oneself with matter. Bhutva, offering is oblations. Tam, this false ego. Mayayam, and the total material energy. Juhati offers as oblations. Anu, following this principle. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The mental concoction of discrimination between good and bad should be accepted as one unit and then invested in the mind, which should then be invested in the false ego. The false ego should be invested in total material energy. This is the process of fighting false discrimination. Purport. This verse describes how a yogi can become free from material affection. Because of material attraction, A karmi cannot see himself. Gyanis can discriminate between matter and spirit, but the yogis, the best of whom are the bhakti yogis, want to return home back to Godhead. The karmis are completely an illusion. The gyanis are neither an illusion nor in positive knowledge, but the yogis, especially bhakti yogis, are completely on the spiritual platform, as confirmed Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chaya vyabhacharena bhakti yogin sevate saganan samtityaitam brahma bhuyaya kapite. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down under any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thus, a devotee's position is secure. A devotee is at once elevated to the spiritual platform. Others, such as Gyanis and Hatha Yogis, can only gradually ascend to the spiritual platform by nullifying their material discrimination on the platform of psychology and nullifying the false ego by which one thinks, I am this body, a product of matter. One must merge the false ego into the total material energy and merge the total material energy into the supreme energetic. This is the process of becoming free from material attraction. Mukam karari vachalam bhangam langatekirim yaki pantamham vande sigum tenatarinam Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjara Shalakaya Chakshamiditam Yena Tasamai Shikarave Namaha. So, does everybody understand this verse? It's actually a very technical verse. Most people and even devotees won't even understand what this is about. But what it's actually about, it's about how the yogi leaves this world. There's different ways of not just leave. I mean, everybody leaves this world, time of death. But the yogi, he can leave this world and go to any planet or even back to Godhead. But so basically there's different ways to leave this world and go to higher planets and go back to Godhead. There's different ways. So this is describing how the yogis do it. So how to understand this verse? It says you go from discrimination, thinking, feeling, willing, put that into the mind, put it back into the mind. And then the mind you put back into the false ego. And the false ego you put back into the Mahatattva, total material energy. And the Mahatattva you put back to Vishnu. Of course, that's in the purport. The Prabhupada says, merge false ego into total material energy, merge that into the supreme energetic. So what does that mean? What does it actually mean? So what it means is at creation, first, everything comes from Vishnu, the Mahatattva. Well, he makes Durga pregnant. He just glances. Shiva carries the glance. And Shiva makes Durga pregnant with all of us. We're in his glance. Three things in the glance of Vishnu: Kala, Karma, and Jiva. That's time, living entities, and karma. They're all in the glance. And then Shiva carries it, and he consorts with Durga. And what she produces is called the total material energy, which we hear of here. So what happens with the yogis? And then from total material energy, beginning of creation, then comes false ego. And from false ego comes the mind. So the yogi, he goes backwards through the different levels of creation. And that's how he goes to the higher planets or even back to Godhead. And so that's what this verse is talking about, how to go backwards to get out of this material world. Now, we don't have to worry about that. As devotees, bhakti yogis, Prabhupada says the highest in the purport is the bhakti yogis, completely on a spiritual platform. So how do we go back? We chant Hare Krishna, and the Swan airplane comes for us and takes us in the airplane back to Godhead. Much easier way. Better just chant Hare Krishna. Don't be a yogi like that. Don't worry about that. But what I'm going to talk about in this class today first is about karmis, gyanis, and yogis and how they are different from devotees. So there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ata Ev Shanta Bhakti Mukti Siddhikami Shakali Shanta. Because the devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he's peaceful. Fruit of workers desire material enjoyment. Gyanis desire liberation. Yogis desire material opulence. Therefore, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. So, karmis, gyanis, yogis mentioned in this purport. The problem is the karmis are people who live in this world and their goal is to enjoy to the end of life. They want to have a nice place to live and all the things of this world. So they have lust for these things. The gyanis, now they renounce this world, but they want to be the biggest controller, not just in this world. They want to be God. They want to merge with God, with the Supreme. So they also have this. They are lusty. It's a material desire. For liberation means it's a material desire here. And the yogis, they want mystic powers. They want so many things. So they're all lusty because they want something. Only the devotees, they don't want anything. They don't want things of this world. They don't want liberation, and they don't want mystic powers. Siddhi. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami. And so only devotees are peaceful because they don't want anything, except they're desireless for these things. But they do have desires because the nature of the soul is to have desires, and their desire is to please Krishna. And that's the best desire. So this is what because we know Krishna is our friend. Krishna is our controller. He's our proprietor. He owns us. He's our friend. And he's the goal of everything, sacrifice and all these things. He's the goal. So therefore, devotees, they worship Krishna. So I would like to also talk about yoga a little bit, because this verse is all about yoga and the yogis and how they leave this world. But real yoga means to control the mind. Purpose of yoga. And there's 8 levels of Ashtanga yoga in the yoga process. So I would like to tell how to be a yogi, how by being a bhakti yogi, it includes all the 8 levels of Ashtanga yoga and even more, of course. So the mind is described in Gita can be our enemy, our mind can be our best friend. So we need to control the mind to make it a friend. So it will help us. Now, the mind is distracting us often. No, better, you're trying to chant and say, no, I'm hungry. No, later. You have to pacify the mind. So if you don't pacify the mind, then your practice of yoga is a waste of time. So the mind has 6 enemies: kam, krodh, lobh, lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviousness. So we have to control these things. And because we serve these different lust, anger, greed, then our mind becomes enemy. It drives us down. But we want to make the mind a friend. And so Arjuna, even in Gita, he compared the mind to the wind. And wind, actually, according to Bhagvatam, is one of our gurus. That what do we learn from the mind? Well, when it blows in many directions at once, the atmosphere becomes agitated. And if the mind is constantly attracted and repelled, and that's what this verse is about, attraction and repulsion, accepting and rejecting things, there will be so much disturbance you can't think about the absolute truth. So we have to learn from the wind how to move through this world without attachment. Just like the wind goes through a beautiful garden, picks up the beautiful scent, and then it drops it. And it may go through a very stinky garbage dump, pick it up, picks up that smell, and drops it. So we go through life likes the wind, and we pick up happy times. We pick up, but we have to drop them, and we pick up miseries and suffering, and we have to drop those also. So that's what we learn from the wind. But unfortunately, living in this world, we do lose our mind to these enemies. So there is of course, this is a famous story which you might know, that there is an American Indian fable about two dogs fighting in the heart of everyone. There's a good dog and there's a bad dog. And so we say there's the material dog and there's the spiritual dog. So how do we know which dog is going to win? Which dog is going to win? The one you feed the most. So if you feed your material dog, it's gonna control you, it's gonna be your enemy. You feed the spiritual dog, your mind will be your friend. So yoga means to control the mind. There's 8 stages of Ashtanga yoga. Yama means negative rules, don't do this. Niyama, positive rules. Asana is like hatha yoga. You have sitting postures. And pranayam, controlling the air, the life, the breath. And then pratyahara, bringing the mind back from sense objects. Dharana means preliminary meditation. And dhyana, complete absorption. And then samadhi means meditation, perfection, where the mind and consciousness are perfectly focused on Paramatma or Brahman or Krishna. So let's go a little bit more into this. What is yama? What is the negative restrictions? Nonviolence, truthfulness, and refraining from theft, and celibacy, and freedom from possessiveness. These are the negative rules. The positive rules are cleanliness, satisfaction, austerity, studying the Vedas, and worshiping the Lord, meditation on the Supreme. And when you learn how to follow these, then you can practice asana. Asana, the sitting postures. And then comes pranayama, breath control, then withdrawing the mind from objects, and then the 3 levels of meditation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Prem Pradeep states, the path of yoga is full of hindrances, obstacles, because when you're doing the rules and regulations, then you become famous as a religious person, and you might become very proud and forget the goal is prema. Then during that's yama and niyam. Then while you're doing asana and pranayam, you increase the length of your life, and you become free from disease. And you might be, oh, this is great. Now I'm healthy. And you get you might forget the goal of life when that happens too. And pratyahara means to bring the senses back. And if you're not a devotee, if you don't do Krishna consciousness, then you become, it's like dry renunciation. Your heart becomes very hard, like a stone. And during the meditation, dhyana, dharana, samadhi, material thoughts are removed. But if prema is not reached, you might lose your identity. And you might also be attached. You get mystic powers. So Srila Prabhupada told us about his friend who had a guru who was a yogi. So one time, Prabhupada's friend visited his yogi guru, and he had mystic powers, this one, that he could, there's one mystic power, you can reach your hand and take anything from anywhere in the world. So his guru asked him, what would you like to have? What would you like to eat? And so then the friend said, I'd like to have pomegranate. So the guru went into the next room and he came back, and there was a branch with a pomegranate on it, freshly picked from Afghanistan, probably. and he gave it to him. So they have these mystic powers. And Another thing is another story Prabhupada told us how yogis have mystic powers is that there are some yogis who live in Haridwar, that's the very northern part of India. And every day they take darshan, they go to see the temples in 4 places. So from north, they go to the east, Jagannath Puri, and from east, they go south to Ranga Kshetra, and from south, they go west to Dwarka, and then they go back up to Haridwar, all within 1 hour. How do they do that? Because there is a universal highway, and it's called the Ganges River. So they dip in the Ganga at Haridwar, and they come up at Jagannath Puri. And then they have darshan, and then they dip in the ocean and come back up at the bottom of India to Ranga Kshetra, and then they go back down in the ocean, come back up at Dwarka, and then they go back up to Haridwar. And so, yes, all within 1 hour, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So, yes, the Ganga is universal highway, and just now in India they had this Kumbh Mela, and the most respected of all the participants are the Naga Babas, who come from the Himalayas. So they don't go by train or plane or anything or bus. They go in the river and they come up at the Kumbh Mela. And so yeah, they just come up and appear. So they know how to use that universal highway. And so they're given a lot of respect. At Kumbh Mela, they get to go first for the bath and everything. And so yeah, the yogis have these powers. And I have one devotee friend who is a yogi, and he's from Russia, and he used to practice meditation when he was 17 years old in the icy, cold rivers in Russia. And by doing that, tapasya, he got mystic powers. And his mystic power is to heal people. He can look at your body and see all the organs and see where the disease is. And then he gives a cure. So he's very famous in Russia. Because he cures people. They just send their picture and he sends them a cure. And so what he did, actually, he preaches to all those people, non-devotees, actually, to chant Hare Krishna. And so they chant. And he says, you have to chant along with the medicine. So that way he's preaching. During COVID, he had a huge meeting, 1,500 people, which was, forbidden in COVID. But he had, before everyone went inside the meeting, they had to take a piece of ginger and chew it because he said that this is counteracting the disease. So, yeah, everyone got their piece of ginger and they came out and no one got COVID in that meeting. So, yeah, he's a yogi. And then, but there are also yogis who get mystic powers, and then they say they're God. And so, yes, this is a problem. And yeah, and people believe them, Yeah. Yes, you're God. Yes, you can make a rasgulla come out or a piece of gold or something. And there was one such yogi in India, he no longer lives. And so, but he did have some mystic powers. They used to make mystic ashes. He used to make ashes. And the one time, one devotee went to visit him, his ashram, and they threw some ashes at him. And then that night, when the devotee got back home and he was sleeping, the yogi was attacking him and trying to control him. So what the devotee did, he got this magazine, Padayatra magazine, put it under his pillow, and that made the yogi go away. That so-called Bhagwan. And another thing from this Bhogi yogi was that he had a godbrother who learned yoga from the same guru, and that godbrother became a magician, and he challenged this bogus one. Okay, whatever you do, I can do better. But he didn't take up the challenge, and he chastised him. Why you're doing this nonsense? And so, yeah, that can happen if you get mystic powers. It was so funny. I was teaching this class in Philadelphia, and one kind of hippie looking man, he said, "Yeah, I got mystic powers." I said, "Great." So he was saying, how can I use them in Krishna's service?" I said, "Well, you can make gold and give a donation to the temple, or you can you can make gold. The temple needs money, or you can influence people's minds by sending them messages of Krishna consciousness, or you can go on Harinama, and if it looks like rain, you can stop the rain." And so I don't think he was able to do those things. But anyway, it's an idea. If you get mystic powers, you can help the temple. And so, which level was Krishna telling Arjuna to be at? Krishna was telling Arjuna to be a yogi and fight. Now we know a yogi, he sits down in a place, meditates, concentrates his mind. How can you be a yogi and fight? And that's the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. You can remain a fighting man, you can go to work, and same time, highest yogi, highest sannyasi. Because in Krishna conscious, you have to fight for Krishna, work for Krishna, eat for Krishna, sleep for Krishna, do everything for Krishna, and then you're a yogi. That's how to be a yogi. So yes, what does a yogi meditate on? Bhagavatam in the third canto, 28th chapter tells us a yogi should meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Hari. So now, we need here's Hari over here, but he's acting like a maidservant of Radharani. So you have to meditate. Do we have any deity pictures here? Can show a picture of the smiling deity. So you go to the temple and you meditate on the smile of Krishna, and he dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. Meditate on his arched eyebrows if you have problem with lust, and these eyebrows charm the sex god for the good of the sages. And so Kapiyadev tells us the results you get from practicing each level of yoga, pranayam, breath control, freedom from contamination. Pratyahara means bring senses back. You get freedom from material association. And dharana, the first level of meditation, freedom from sinful activities. Your karma is gone. And dhyana, freedom from the modes of material attachment. So yes, in yoga, they have yam niyam, rules, regulations. We have our four great principles. These are negative and the positive. Chant Hare Krishna, do deity worship, go to the morning program. So what about asana? Well, we chant japa. Pranayam means kirtan and japa also. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, our pranayam is to chant and dance for Krishna. And the same things will happen. Then deity worship, dharana, it means dhyana. No, dharana. Dharana is the first level of meditation. Is that we meditate on Krishna when we do our service. And when you do this chanting, pranayam, you get free from all miseries. You forget your miseries. And just like I have an example of one devotee who is the temple president of Sweden. Before he was a devotee, he was living in Norway. And it's in the winter, it's terribly cold and it's dark. The sun sets in October and it rises in February. They don't have any light, hardly in the day there in wintertime. And it's very heavy snow and rain and heavy winds, very cold. Like yesterday, there were heavy winds over here. Well, that's every day over there. And he used to suffer greatly before he was a devotee. And then he became a devotee. And he became a brahmachari. And they sent him for book distribution back to Norway, where he came from. But when he was doing book distribution, he noticed that, the cold didn't bother him. And the wind and the rain. And they were out there distributing books. And people were amazed. What are you doing out here in this terrible weather? And so, yeah, when you do service for Krishna, then you forget your material miseries. And so, yes, we have our four regular principles, our chanting, and asana. Srila Prabhupada says you go and sit in front of the deity and see the deity. And also when you're chanting, sit properly, he used to say. And Hare Krishna mantra is pranayam, and dancing in ecstasy, also pranayam. Perpetual pranayam, like we had this slogan in the beginning of our movement, stay high forever, because the goal of the hippies was to stay high forever with drugs. But the problem with the drugs is you always had to come back. You had to come down. You couldn't stay high forever. You had to keep taking the drugs. But with Krishna consciousness, you didn't have to take any drugs, and you could stay high forever in spiritual ecstasy. So that was our slogan for the hippies. But that's a fact. And this is how we do it. And again, there is one verse in Bhagavatam 7:15-24, how to counteract the threefold miseries. There's adibhautic miseries due to other living beings by good behavior and freedom from envy. You can counteract sufferings due to other living entities or people. Meditation and trance counteract sufferings adidaivic due to providence, due to the weather, due to floods, and atmic miseries due to your own mind and body. By doing pranayam, Prabhupada says, of course, for us, pranayam is chanting and dancing. So that will help with the mind and the body. And then the last three, smaranam, is actually the third level in bhakti. We have shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam. Hearing, chanting, and remembering. So remembering is only the third level. It's the eighth level in yoga. But we're already on the highest level just by doing devotional service. And smaranam, Prabhupada includes deity worship. In smarana, you think about dressing the deity, how to dress him. I was a pujari, and as soon as you see a flower, you think where to put it on Krishna or Radha. You think, oh, that flower goes there, that flower goes there. And so that's how you see the things. You see Krishna everywhere. And Srila Prabhupada said, the more you dress Krishna, then you become satisfied. Your heart becomes clean. So this is spiritual satisfaction. Yes. And one thing is that the yogis, they try to meditate on Super Soul, the Lord in the heart. So we have, Srila Prabhupada said in one purport in Bhagavatam, Chaturshloki verses, that we all have a TV in our heart, different channels. Right now, our TV is tuned to internet. So we have many channels on internet that we tune our TV to. But these are material channels. That is not what our TV is for. Our TV is meant to tune into the channel of Ayodhya, Lord Ram, the channel of Dwaraka, the channel of Vaikuntha, and the channel of Goloka. That's what our TV is meant for. And but now our TV is broken, Prabhupada said. So we need to fix our TV of the heart. And how do we fix that TV? Three things: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Our Guru will help us, devotees will help us, and the books, Prabhupada's books, will help us to fix this TV in the heart, which is meant to go to connect to the channel of Goloka Vrindavan. And so, yes, this is the process of yoga and the process of bhakti yoga. And Krishna, he's not so pleased if you do this Ashtanga yoga, because you're not really trying to connect with him usually. The yogis, they want to merge, or they want to become God, or they want to get mystic powers, as Chaitanya Charitamrita says. In dhyana, the yogi's trying to satisfy himself by attaining mystic powers and things. But by bhakti yoga, we want to please Krishna. So by chanting Hare Krishna, doing devotional service, we can become the greatest yogi, the highest yogi, and get the highest level of yoga. Back to home, back to Godhead. So I'll stop here if you have any questions at this time.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I heard you wrote 21 books, right?
No. Me? 21. Yeah. 21. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you give your book to Modi ji?
No, no.
Okay.
I didn't meet Modi.
Yeah, I heard somebody gave
No,
you
that
book.
was Jadharani. She gave her art book.
Yeah, right. I think.
Yeah, with Jadharani.
Right.
Okay, somebody else had their. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah. So are you coming to the Potomac Temple this Sunday?
Yes, I am. I will give the Sunday feast lecture. Tomorrow morning will be Bhagvatam class over here. And
Over here means in Bhakti
Silver
Center?
iFest.
Okay. What time?
I
Can
think
I
it's
come
at
there?
11. Kunti will know. Kunti.
No, the Bhagavatam starts at 11 o'clock in
Okay.
Silver Spring. We
Yeah,
can post the address in
I
the
will
chat.
yeah, I will give you the address and you can
Yeah.
come.
And then I will do the Sunday feast lecture at the temple at 1 o'clock. Yes.
Hari Bol.
And do you have any program today?
No, this is my program today.
Oh, okay.
Temple programs. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for this nectarian and wonderful class. We are so much blessed today to have your association. And you explained very nicely how we can be a yogi, being Krishna consciousness. So thank you. I don't have any question, but I open the forum for the devotees. If you have any question, please go ahead and ask.
Somebody had his hand up. I saw. Vangshi.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. So nice to see you.
Vangshi Vilas. Okay.
When I hear from you, it is Srila Prabhupada speaking through you because you have been with him and you have such wonderful realizations, Mataji. Mataji, my question, we all aspiring to go back home, back to Godhead. Is that the highest aspiration, or should we just aspire to serve wherever we are?
That's a very nice question. That question was asked to Srila Prabhupada by two different devotees. So Burijan asked Prabhupada, that same question, should we aspire to go back or stay here? Should we aspire to stay here? And Prabhupada said, you want me to come back for you birth after birth? And so he said no to Burijan. Now Achyutananda also asked that question. And Prabhupada said, the preacher is already back to Godhead. If you're preaching, if you're distributing books, you are back to Godhead. Krishna is talking with you. He's giving you ideas what to say to the people in your talking, in your lecture, in your distributing books. Now, so that's Prabhupada's answers. Now, there's another consideration. Prabhupada encouraged us to desire to go back to Godhead. If you read his books, all his books say that. You should desire to go back to Godhead. You go to first canto, chapter 2. I can't remember exact verse. It's like in the, let's see. Anyway, it's in chapter 2, beginning of chapter 2, between verses 16 and 19, 21, 16 and 21. In one of those purports, Prabhupada says we should desire to go back to Godhead. And most people don't want to go back to Godhead. So we should desire that. And now the technical thing, there's something you should also understand about desiring to stay here birth after birth. The Shikshastakam by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu corresponds to the levels of Shraddha to Prema. So the level of Shraddha is described in the first Shikshastakam, all glories to the Sankirtan movement, where the holy name is glorified. Now the second Shikshastakam you will find sadhu sangha, association with devotees, bhajana kriya, practicing rules and regulations, and anartha nivritti, the struggle to get free. So that verse says, yes, you made it so easy, but unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction. So then the Shikshastika third, Chanadapi Sunichina, humility, corresponds with Nishta, or firm faith. So that's the level where you're between, you're not struggling anymore, you're balanced, you're in the mode of goodness, you're basically, it's the first level of liberation. There's a little passion and ignorance there, it's under control, but so you're in between. But once you get to Ruchi, then it becomes easier. And so at Ruchi, that's Nadanam Najanam, the Sundari, I don't want anything of this world. Then Lord Chaitanya says, I want your service birth after birth. So what that means for us is that we should desire to go back to Godhead until we get to Ruchi. If we get to the level of Ruchi, then we can say birth after birth, because we're so happy here, we're already back to Godhead. Everything is beautiful. We're attracted to everything about Krishna. Even we see Krishna in the whole world. And so that's done. When you get to that level, then it's okay to say, yeah, birth after birth. But until then, you should desire to go back to Godhead, and don't make your guru come back for you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And we know, Mataji, you said about Ruchi, and then Bharat Maharaj was in Bhava after Ruchi.
I know. Just
And
see.
still he fell down. Yeah.
I know. Even if you're in Ruchi and Bhava, you better be careful and don't offend devotees. And well, actually, I can quote from His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj for this also, what you're talking about, Bharat Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he gave 4 reasons why leaders fall down and leave Krishna consciousness, but that can go for us too. So, number 1, pride, lack of humility. If you're too proud, you can't learn anything. You know everything, and you're the leader. You're the controller of everyone. If you're too proud, then that can make you go away or fall down. Secondly, offenses to devotees. If you make offenses, that can cause you to fall down. And the third thing, the problem with Bharat Maharaj, lack of association. So if you keep yourself isolated and you don't associate with devotees, you can fall down. And leaders, like kind of the problem with leaders is they have so many followers and they're always glorifying them, and they don't have association on their level. But we see, our leaders are trying. Ramdas Swami, Bhakti Swami, he was associating. And the fourth problem is lack of knowledge of the path of bhakti. You got to read those books, Prabhupada. And you have to know there's going to come a time in your life when doubts are going to come. You're not a pure devotee. You might feel like that in the beginning, I'm the best and pure devotee. But, there's going to be a time when doubts come. You may hit midlife crisis and leave as a brahmachari. Oh, no. I gave my youth to Krishna. Now it's not too late. I can still enjoy. I'll get married. I'll get a job. Oh, these things can happen. And you need to know that you need to have that knowledge. So His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj gave these 4 reasons. You can fall down due to pride, offense, isolation, lack of association, and lack of knowledge. So you have to be very careful about these 4 things in your spiritual life. Even if he was saying this is for leaders, but I say this is for everyone. We can all make these mistakes here. Okay, any other questions? Sundar Ananda raised his hand. Okay.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Mataji. Sorry, I joined a little late, Mataji, so I don't know if you already answered this. The verse talks about discriminating, false discrimination, giving up, like that it talks about. And the verse translation talks about how false discrimination is thinking this is good for me, thinking
Right.
this is bad for me, like that.
Mhm.
So So as devotees, what is the lesson for us and
Yeah.
how to do it? Yeah.
Well, we have to follow Sharanagati. So instead of thinking what is good for me, what is bad for me, we have to accept what is favorable, what is good for Krishna consciousness, and what is bad for Krishna consciousness. So that's how that Sharanagati, those are the first two levels, accepting what is good for Krishna consciousness, and rejecting what is bad. And then after that, it's protection and maintenance. Krishna is protecting me, Krishna is maintaining me. Then humility, and then full surrender, self-surrender. So that's the first two levels of surrender, Sharanagati. I didn't talk about that, so good you raised the question.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Geeta. Thank you so much for your such a lovely class. I mean, we learned a lot about how this bhakti path of bhakti is to some extent. I basically have I'm not really I've asked this question earlier as well, but still that keeps coming back to my mind. Like you mentioned about Sweden. This person was sent back to Sweden to
Norway.
distribute the books. So it's the prime thing Srila Prabhupada said was to help people raise their Krishna consciousness, right? That is the most important. But I find that this opportunity comes far and few, especially when you think of Sweden, you know. And then once you explain that, then I have another question. I can, if it's okay with you, I could ask that. Thank you, Mataji.
So what's your other question?
Is that so many times we are put in in a situation which of course we are the medium where we can help someone, but I was told that could also lead to negative karma if you help somebody, so that is what I wonder. How can it be a negative karma?
I also wonder. Well, I can think of one thing is if you let somebody touch your feet, then you can get sick. You can get their karma and get sick. But whoever told you that, you have to go to that person and ask them that question. How can it be a negative karma? I have not heard that before. But one thing I have heard from Prabhupada is don't let anyone touch your feet. You can get their karma. Oh, two things I heard. That was one from Prabhupada. And so what you do, you have to put your hand on the person's head and you give the karma back. Now, another thing I heard is you should steal in Vrindavan and in ISKCON. If you steal someone's shoes, then you get their karma. So that's another way you can get negative karma, but not by helping people. Not by helping people. As a devotee, because we are just giving them what Krishna has given us. We're just an instrument. So we don't get the karma. But you have to make sure you don't change what Krishna and Guru has said. Don't change what they say. Then you can get some karma. If you change it, then it's you. But if you repeat what they say, then you're just an instrument. You're just passing it on. And that way you help the people. That's how you don't get karma. If you got to be careful, if you don't, if you change it in any way, you get the karma. So that can be true there. Any other? Well, it's 8:15, so I guess it's time up. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
No, Mataji. We have some time, Mataji, for question answer session. If you're okay, Mataji.
Yeah, okay.
Hare Krishna, I have a quick question. Obeisances.
Okay. Oh, hi, Bo.
It's a short question, and please see if it's appropriate within the scope of time to address this. So devotees constantly face the challenge. We learn that we should see only good in others and try to glorify devotees. And in practice of bhakti, we work with different kind of mindsets and attitudes. how to overlook the shortcomings of others, so everyone can work together in loving friendliness for the service of Guru and Krishna.
Well, I would recommend you to take Mahatma's course in forgiveness, and because usually we have problems when we have expectations of other people or other devotees, and so we have to forgive. And Prabhupada talks about that in his one purport, I believe 10, chapter Gita 10, 4 and 5. You have to forgive the minor offenses of others. And forgiveness means it's every day, and you have to, and one of his exercises, you take the person who you have a problem with, and then you have them seated across you, and you shower them with flowers, and you give them all blessings, and you pray to Krishna for their happiness. There's many things. There's other exercises you can do also, but that's what he teaches. And I was thinking His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also teaches, oh yeah, in his Spiritual Warrior number 4, what are the triggers of anger and how to counteract them. That we have different expectations of people, and forgiveness also is there too.
Okay.
How to forgive.
The reason I asked was in a recent discussion with a devotee, she expressed that tolerance is very challenging for her. As much she tries, now and then something comes up, and that really is disturbing her in her sadhana, of course. And so as much she wants to be sincere in her dealings, it seems like that is not always the case with others, and she does not want to be judgmental.
Yeah, I would advise her to practice forgiveness.
Yeah.
That will help.
Every moment, forgiveness is to be practiced every moment.
Yes, you have to forgive them before anything happens, before it happens.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sundar Ananda has his hand up again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Well, I like the way you described the Ashtanga Yoga practices, limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, and how we as practicing devotees can do them in bhakti context.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. I have one question. In Nectar of Devotion, Sri Prabhupada talks about the serving in the mind, like the Brahmana who does serving in the mind, like that.
Right.
And we're reading the 4th canto now. In that section, Narada Muni also describes to the Dhruva Maharaj. In that context, Prabhupada talks about serving with the mind when the physical facilities are not there, like that he describes. Is there any other practical application for devotees when Manasika Saiva needs to be done or practiced like that?
Yeah, well, it happens in 2 ways usually. You have deities and you leave them and put them to sleep, go traveling. So that's one way you practice manasi. And another way is when you get really sick and can't do anything. So then you're in the bed, and what are you going to do in the bed the whole day? You go through the morning program. Mentally you can, and also we do have internet now, so you can even attend all over the world. Mangalarti morning program, you can attend it. But you can also do manasi. And also, like, you can pray for others. This is a very good practice. Every day you pray for other devotees. And that could be, I don't know if that's considered manasa, but it can be. You can say it out loud, or it can be in your mind. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Rajarada, Haribol.
Haribol Mataji. Mataji, thank you for this most wonderful class this morning. I had a question. When we decide, when we read about the different types of devotional, like the ways in which you can practice devotional service, it's Shravanam, Kirtanam. So we also have, there was a topic of discussion amongst devotees one time, like whether how much of chanting and deity worship should be balanced, like chanting your japa 16 rounds, but sometimes people have sometimes people do a lot of deity worship. They take up more than what they their day is like occupied with deity worship, and then sometimes they don't find time to chant japa. So that was the topic of discussion. So I was like really curious to know what you think about like what risking your japa at the cost of deity worship, or what exactly should be the balance.
Well, japa is a priority because that's the yuga dharma.
Yeah.
For this age. So you should definitely finish your rounds. There was, I was doing deity worship, and so I couldn't chant in the morning in Calcutta. But so I just slept 4 hours a day. I was 2:30 to 10:30. I was doing deity worship, but I was also chanting because I had to sit with the deities and watch them because we didn't have a chokidar. So I was chanting japa and watching. And but the question was asked to Prabhupada, not about deity worship, but about service. That one devotee was serving 20 hours a day and he had no time for japa. And so Prabhupada told him, then you don't sleep. He said, so this devotee took it to heart, and he was only sleeping 4 hours and working seva 20 hours. So then he only started sleeping 2 hours, and he chanted his japa 2 hours and then seva 20 hours. He would go in the shower and chant his 2 hours so he wouldn't fall asleep. So one time he was at a program with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, he was sleeping in the class. Prabhupada told him, just go and sleep. Some life member's house. So he went into bed, and then about half hour later, Prabhupada came, and he went in the bed next to him. And the devotee got up off her base. He said, no, you sleep. And so he got the reward. He was sleeping right next to Prabhupada, but I don't think he was sleeping. But so, that's was Prabhupada's answer. What can I say? You need to chant your japa. And if you feel the need for deity worship, okay, do it, but not at the sacrifice of your 16 rounds, because that's your vow. You took a vow to chant 16 rounds. You didn't take a vow to do deity worship so many hours. So that's extra. And if you don't have time, cut into your sleep or your eating or whatever.
Thank you.
Padmini Radha has her hand up.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Dandavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such a beautiful class this morning. I love the analogy that you were giving from Prabhupada's writing about tuning into TV channels.
Oh yeah, Prabhupada. It's in the purport. Oh, it's in his lecture.
It was so beautiful and it was so apt. I guess my question is around that line. So I know what channel to watch, right?
Right.
But I'm not able to watch that.
Uh-huh.
So is it I guess that I tend to delay my sadhana and I don't prioritize it. Could it I'm trying to understand if is it because of lack of faith or
well, His Holiness Sachinand Swami said, we have a problem today. There are weapons of destruction. We have a weapon of distraction, and it's called the cell phone, and it's called internet. So during the day, you watch yourself. Any time you want to touch the cell phone and go on media, before that, you chant 1 or 2 rounds. Every time. Every time you want to go on social media, first you chant 1 or 2 rounds. It will help you get your rounds done. And yes, weapons. He calls them weapons of distraction. Weapons of distraction. And we're distracted. It's Age of Kali, and it's very, very heavy now that we get distracted. That's the main problem. So watch yourself and see if you have that problem. And that's what I tell the youth, before you touch your cell phone. Yeah, I try to finish all my rounds before I touch social media. That's a pretty heavy one, heavy vow, heavy. But I'm just saying, just chant 1 or 2, or maybe 2 or 3 rounds before you touch every time, because you probably, you go on and off the whole day. So every time before you touch it, you chant a few rounds. Try that.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Mataji. And then, Mataji, I'm also trying to understand what is the role of hearing in this?
Of what?
Because hearing, Shravanam, because
Yeah.
I have noticed this myself when I listen to lectures, when I choose, and that's a choice I make, right? Rather than listening to news or anything that's
good.
material, I feel that I'm able to chant better, and because I think it comes from a place that I have already prioritized. I've already made one good choice, so then it's easier for me to make the next good choice.
Right. Yeah. It helps.
So how important is listening in this, and how do I tell myself to continue listening?
Well, you have to make your mind your friend. You might have to preach to your mind, this and that. Yeah, this is really good for you. You're going to be happy. You're going to like this. You can make affirmations like that the day before. Okay, I really love hearing, and tomorrow I'm gonna hear for at least 2 hours. Yeah, you can just make affirmations. There's affirmations for chanting. Can't wait till I put my hand in my bead bag. Oh, I love to chant. Oh, I can't wait to chant. I can't wait to hear. You put it in your mind the night before, and then it can help. If you pray the night before, prepare the night before for your next day, and then you remember it when you wake up.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay, I think we should. It's 8:30 now. I think it would be good to end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much,
Wonderful.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Let's have a to all the Vaishnavas. Mahan Chakra Patarvesha Kripasindu Evacha Patitanam Pavani Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai Namacharya Srila Thakur ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Srila Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai Hare Krishna Narani Devi Mataji ki jai. Thank you so much Mataji for your association and wonderful association and guidance. Hare Krishna Mataji. Please come
Hare
again.
Krishna.
Yeah, whenever you have time, I will contact you.
I will try.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mother
Hare
Narayan.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Bol. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.